Hello, young readers. Welcome to this special event. My name is Jennifer Widman, and I'm from the South Dakota Humanities Council. I'm so happy you're joining us today for a conversation with Juan Felipe Herrera, who is the author of the 2021 Young Readers One Book South Dakota, Imagine, Imagina. It's this book right here. The Young Readers One Book is a program that's been going on since 2014. We give copies of the same book to students like you all around South Dakota so you can read it, discuss it, and do fun activities in your schools, libraries, and homes. Then we invite the author or the illustrator to come to South Dakota and meet all of you. And this year we're doing that virtually. You are some of the 10,000 third graders across South Dakota who received copies of this beautiful book. We were able to share the books with you because of some very generous friends who helped us to pay to publish and distribute them, and you will see their logos on the back. First Bank and Trust, Northern Hills Federal Credit Union, and the National Endowment for the Humanities. And I am just so thankful to these sponsors for helping us get these books into your hands. Finally, I'm so excited for all of you to meet the author. As I mentioned, his name is Juan Felipe Herrera, and he is a poet, performance artist, and activist. The son of migrant farm workers, he was the U.S. Poet Laureate from 2015 to 2017. He has published more than a dozen collections of poetry, and he is the author-illustrator of Jabberwocking. He's speaking to you today from his home in California. Please join me in welcoming Juan Felipe Herrera.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a beautiful pleasure to read this particular book, and to you, and to listen to your questions, and to work together, to be together, because that's really what writing is. Writing is like an embrace. We work with each other, we listen to each other, we imagine with each other, and we inspire each other all at the same time. So in a way, we're kind of writing a new book by imagining what the book is about, and then thinking about ourselves and reflecting on things that come up while we're reading the book, or listening to the book, or sharing the book. So it just kind of keeps on multiplying. And that's the beauty of writing, and the beauty of reading out the book, and the beauty of imagination. When I first went to school, it was kind of very different. I never had seen an elementary school before, and I never walked into a school before. And my father was the same. He learned the word. He learned his English by paying for each word with a penny. And so he paid for each word. He paid a penny. He used to work in the fields as a farm worker. So finally, when it was my turn to go to school, he drove me in his big giant army truck that I always mention in my books, because it was kind of an odd looking truck, but it was also an interesting truck, almost like you painted it with crayons. So he drove me to school. I had never seen a school. And he says, there's a school, Juan. Go ahead, it's time to go to school. Okay, I'll pick you up. I go, that's a school? That's a school? He goes, yeah, I'll pick you up later, okay, around 2 o'clock. Okay. So how do I get in? And on and on and on. So it was all new to me, and it was a lot of fun. It was also very challenging, and in a way, that's almost the way everything is. Sometimes it's challenging, and we just have to open the door and walk down the hall of that challenge, and then see all the beautiful things that are there, and we are here to discover them, just like this book. So I'm going to read this book. Imagine, imagine, there it is, imagine. And there's a tree here, and that's little big me right there, looking at the moon, La Luna. And here's a little city way back there. And I'm glad I didn't tumble down there. I just stayed there, wearing my favorite overalls. So, imagination. You have this book, so it's kind of hard to put up here and show you, but I am playing with tadpoles. No, I'm not. I'm smelling a chamomile flower. We'll get to the tadpoles later. A chamomile flower. Wow, everybody say chamomile. Isn't that interesting? Sounds like a meal and or like a camel, but it's actually chamomile. But I loved flowers when I was a child, especially uh, uh, flores de manzanilla, chamomile flowers, because they had little fuzzy heads, little fuzzy head, and it felt like velvet. You touch his little head, it felt like velvet, like a little short haircut, and it felt like velvet, and it smelled really unique and different. I could go on forever about a chamomile flower, not flor de manzanilla. So you ready, everybody? We're going to talk about chamomile first, and then we're going to move on. All right. If I picked chamomile flowers as a child in the windy fields and whispered to their fuzzy little faces, imagine. That's what I did. And then if I let tadpoles, everybody say tadpoles. What do you think of a tadpole? Little tadpole, tad, just a tadpole. It's not a big frog yet. It's a little baby frog, a tadpole. If I let tadpoles swim across my hands, imagine, they kind of tickle your hands. If I let tadpoles swim across my hands in the wavy creek, it's a little creek. It's not a river. It's not an ocean. It's not a lake. It's not the entire ocean of the world. It's just a little creek. If I let the tadpoles swim across my hands in the wavy creek, imagine. So there I am, playing with the little tadpoles with a little big head, swimming across my hands. If I jumped up high into my papi's army truck and left our village of farm workers and waved adios, adios, adios to my amiguitos, my little friends, imagine. Well, my father's truck was really big. Remember I told you about his army truck? It was really giant, big army truck. And I used to jump into it. And we used to move a lot. We used to move from one little farm working camp, one little farm working village. And I had just made a lot of good friends. And I used to be friends with dogs. One of them was called Rowdy, my favorite doggy friend. And then we had to go. We had to go to the next crop, get in the truck, jump in, and let's go. And away we went. Sounds like a bird sound I'm making all of a sudden, but it's really a truck sound. And I'd have to say adios to my friends, and my doggy friends would be running after the truck. It's kind of hard to say goodbye to friends, but things move. Everybody moves. Everything changes. Our friends move. We stay. We move. They stay. So eventually, just hopefully, we'll meet again. And in my father's army truck, I still remember that truck. So now the sun goes down. The sun goes down, and it's nighttime. There it is, the big super moon. Don't forget to say hello to the moon, okay? When you wake up super early or you're up at night and there's a big moon out there, well, don't forget to say hello. You want to say hello to everyone and everything. If I let the stars at night paint my blanket with milky light, with shapes of hungry birds, while I slept outside, imagine what you could do. Yes, when you're a little farm worker boy, farm worker girl, and the moon comes up and you're out there, way out there, way out there in the fields, and you're a little farm worker boy, a farm worker girl, or with your brothers and sisters and parents in the evening and the moon comes up, it just feels so close, doesn't it? You want to pat it on the head. You say, Mom, can I pat the moon on the head? It's really close. And can I say hello? I'm going to say hello. ¿Cómo estás, Lunita? ¿Cómo estás? Hello. Hello, big moon. Hello, little moon. And I used to sleep outside, sometimes in a tent or just in our trailer, which was outside, and the light would come in. Isn't light pretty? Isn't light lovely? In the morning, I love morning light. And at noon, it's strong, 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 powerful light. 92 million miles away, the sun sends us the gift of light. 93 miles away, 93 million miles away, I think. And now it's in the afternoon. One of my favorite things was to feed the chickens with my mom. Well, I think it was one of the happiest times. El momento más feliz de mi vida era estar con mi mamá dándole de comer a las gallinitas. It was my favorite time. My mom was happy, I was happy. And the chickens were happy too because they were about to get fed. Big giant sandwiches of little corn seeds. If I helped my mom feed the hopping chickens and catch the crazy turkey in the front yard of our new village, imagine, I forgot to tell you, every time we moved to a new place with people, with farm workers. Sometimes they were tents, sometimes they were trailers, but all the times they were like a little tiny village where I made friends and little doggies and the mountains and the lakes and the sky and the moon. All of that was one thing for me, one beautiful playground. And the crazy turkeys. Now the crazy turkeys are totally crazy because you won't be able to catch them, and they're really big with giant wings. And they kind of look a little funny, like their faces melting, but that's who they are. Los guajolotes. If you say it in Spanish, you're going to sound really important at school. You could say, because if you say turkeys, it's just two little syllables. But if you say guajolotes, what? Teacher, Mr. Sampson? Yes, Juanito. Guajolotes. What are you talking about? Guajol. So it's a good word in Spanish. It actually comes from the word in Aztec or Mexica, a native word of this continent, which is now, the center of it is Mexico, which is the cradle of the Aztecas, of the Aztecs. And the same word is guajolotl, guajolot, guajolot, which is guajolote in Spanish and is turkey in English. And there's a lot of words in one word. So you ready for this part? This is the real scary part. It could be scary. It's not too scary, okay? It's not too scary. Just a little tiny, itsy bitsy, micro, tiny, scary. And here we go. There I am. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. And since you have this book, I want you to look at the artwork too. I'll tell you all about it after I tell you about this forest. 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 It's like the number 4. Forest, okay? And forests are big, and they're trees, and they have many colors. They're green, but they have many other colors, and they have their own language. If you walk in a forest, it has a language, has sounds, little birdie sounds, big bird sounds, wind sounds, leaf sounds, and the trees themselves moving a little bit sounds, and animal sounds. There's animals, and they make their own sounds, and they call out to you, and big giant bird sounds, and most of all, walking sounds as you walk through the forest. You ready for this one? Here we go. If I walked through the evening forest at the top of a mountain with a silvery bucket to fetch water from the next town, imagine, that's quite a walk. That's quite a walk. Walking through the forest. I'll tell you a secret. I'll make it very short. I hope I can. I dropped a big old giant 5-gallon jug of glass filled with water on the floor in our trailer. And it went flying and hit the floor and it broke into 1,000 pieces and the water went everywhere. I don't recommend it. Be very careful with things made out of glass. And then my father said, well, Juanito, I guess you're going to have to go get some water now. I what? You're going to have to go get some water, Juanito, okay? Because we need water. And here's a pail. And just walk through the forest. You're going to be fine. And then get to the other little town and you're going to be okay. And I want you to look for water. And when you find it, fill the little pail and bring it back to our trailer. And then we'll have water. Jeez. So that's why I wrote this particular section, because I did get the pail and I did walk by myself with all the sounds of the forest. So now we're going to go to school. Vamos a la escuela. Vamos a la escuela. Let us go to school. It's time to go to school. Don't forget your chips. Don't forget your shoes. And don't forget your homework, okay? Here we go. And I finally went to school. If I moved to the winding city of tall bending buildings to a new concrete school I had never seen, imagine. Because remember, I lived in mountains and villages and farm worker camps and trailers and earth and turkeys and chickens and skies and moons and forests. All of a sudden, a campesino boy, a farm worker boy, when I was a child, all of a sudden I was in the city. And in the city, they had tall buildings. And in the city, they were made out of concrete. And in the city, they had schools, but I had never been to one. And they called it elementary. It was an elementary, escuela primaria, elementary school. But I didn't know what time school started. Did you remember? Do you remember what time school starts when you first went? I never knew what time school started. We didn't know, so there I am. So I opened the door. If I opened my classroom's wooden door, not knowing how to read, I didn't know how to read or speak in English. Imagine. So we have to be brave, don't you think? We have to, you know, we have to see that we're going to do okay. We have to feel that it's going to be okay. We have to see it as a really beautiful, positive thing. So we put out our hand, open the door, and walk in gently and be filled with excitement and imagination. Because something new, we're going to learn many new things in English, and maybe it's a bilingual school, English and Spanish, or English in another language. It's a whole new world. Imagine going to a whole new planet. That's what school's like. And sometimes we don't know the language, and we do our best. And little by little, we learn English. So there's Mrs. Sampson, my teacher, and there's my friends. Well, students that became my friends. There's Dana, and there's Miguel, and there's Lulu, and there's Mercy, and there's Gwendolyn, and there is Rudy, and Arnold, and Larry, and Mary Lee, and Dana Jones. I still remember their names. But sometimes you don't know how to read in English, and it's a challenge. So let's be challengers, okay? Let's be challengers. Even a test in class is a challenge, right? Oh, let me tell you one of my secrets. Everybody ready? That's me right there. And it's a real secret. It's a real secret. Let's see, here it comes. If I practice spelling words in English by saying them in Spanish, like, uh, let me start. I don't know if I have it. Oh, well, this could be a pencil. If I practice spelling words in English by saying them in Spanish, like pencil for pencil, pencil. So I really did that. I pronounced English words like pencil the way I would pronounce them if I read them in Spanish. Pencil, P, P, E, N, C, I, L, P, E, N, C, I, L. And Mrs. Sampson would say, "Oh, that's an A, Juanito. Perfect, you got it right." But I didn't tell her I started by pronouncing it in Spanish. It's a beautiful thing to learn many languages, because then you'll know many, many, many more people. You'll say hello to millions of people with one new word in another language. I've done it on stage as a poet. That's another secret. That's true. We can talk about it. Just add one word to your language. It could be Filipino, maraming salamat. Says, thank you very much. It could be in English, how are you? Or thank you. It could be in Spanish, muchas gracias. Learn two more words, maybe like thank you, in another language, and will meet a million new people. Okay, here's another secret. Look at all that. This is a book I wrote, and it's like a poem also, but it's also full of secrets. And you're the first group that I ever tell that these were secrets. This is about collecting pens, ink pens. And I love ink pens to this day. Here's a yellow ink pen, a fountain pen. Here's a micro ink pen, has very small ink tips. That's one of my secrets. So here we go. If I collected gooey and sticky ink pens because I loved how the ink flowed like tiny rivers across soft paper, imagine. I love paper. I have all kinds of I have all kinds of paper. I got color paper, I got giant paper, I got little paper, I got things that get printed, but I keep things that get printed out like little statements, and then I draw on them and get ideas. So students, we're students forever. Teachers, we're teachers forever. Thinkers, we're thinkers forever. Imagineers, we're Imagineers forever. Human beings, we're human beings forever. Hello, hello people, we're hello people forever. If I grabbed a handful of words, this is another secret. Geez, it's a lot of secrets. I would write them down, make sure I got them right. If I grabbed a handful of words I had never heard and sprinkled them over a paragraph so I could write a magnificent story, imagine. And that's another secret. Sometimes I have a piece of paper and I go, no, I'm tired of using the same words all the time to write a story or write a poem. So I look at different magazines like on science or on a forest or on how to build a car or things that I generally don't look at. I'll grab words from those magazines and those pages. So I grab some of those words and then I write the poem. Then I write the story with some of those words sprinkled in. Shh, don't tell anybody. If I grabbed a handful of words I had never heard and sprinkled them over a paragraph so I could write a magnificent story, imagine. And there I am. Everybody ready? It's time to stand up in front of your class and sing a song. If I stood up in a school far away where I lived and sang for the first time in front of class, imagine, it's pretty tough. But you're probably really good at this, much better than me when I was in school. So standing up, that's a beautiful thing to do. It's like a flower. Flower likes to stand up because it likes to see the sun. So we stand up too, but sometimes we don't. We're kind of bent down and we're not happy. But the minute you stand up, happiness happens. Okay, here we go. If I started to write a poem on a skinny paper pad after school as I walked on the white sidewalk and then finished it when I got home, imagine, well, it's another secret. Another secret. People say, Juan, how do you write so much? When do you have time to write? And how do you do it? Well, when I was in school, once again, I would have a paper pad, some kind of paper pad. Now we have laptops, but we also have cell phones, and you can speak into them. So it's not that much different, even though you're not necessarily using a pencil. But both are good, right? Technology is good. iPads are good. Cell phones are okay. And paper pads are good too, because you feel the letter come out of the pencil and out of your hand. Laptop, you just hear the little keys maybe, but you don't really feel the letters. So think about it and explore using paper and pencils or pens and explore your iPad or your device. Both are good. So that's how I did it. I used to walk and write at the same time. So imagine. So people ask me, how do you do it? I walk and write. Ideas are everywhere and they're always available. And they're positive ideas. Queremos lo positivo. We want the positive. Sometimes we get a negative idea. That one, we got to let go. Negative ideas, we got to wash them away. Big rocks in front of you, push them to the side. Broken glass in front of you, don't step on it. Negative ideas, don't step on them. Don't keep them. Get them out of the way so your mind can be happy and positive. All right, we're going to go to the guitar. La guitarra, la guitarra, la guitarra. Es el tiempo de la guitarra. It's time for the guitar. If I picked up my honey-colored guitar and called out my poem every day until it turned into a song, imagine. Remember that we're human beings and human beings are singers. We're singers. Birds are singers. Humans are singers. Trees are singers. Frogs are singers. We might as well join the band. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the last page of the book. Ready or not, here we go. See, you guys are right here. See, this is all of you. And for some reason, I'm way up there. So it's very high up. I don't really like to stand high above people, but this was the Library of Congress, and this is how they did it. Here we go. You ready? Last page, last secret. If I stood up wearing a robe in front of my familia and many more on the high steps of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and I read out loud and signed, beep, my poetry book like this. Poet Laureate of the United States of America. Poet Laureate of the United States of America? How did that happen? Well, Poet Laureate means that you're the poet of the United States. And you have an office in the Library of Congress, which is not that far from the White House, which is full of gazillions of books for geez, over 100 years, over 100 years. And there's books from the very beginning to the latest book today. They open up, you're standing behind a wall, you're in a tunnel, and then the wall opens, and then someone introduces you. Ladies and gentlemen, Juan Felipe Herrera, the poet laureate of the United States. And then the wall opens, and then you take a step forward, then the curtains open, and then the light hits you, and then you're on stage, and there's a microphone, and there's a podium, and there's people's in the audience in front of you. And it's your turn to stand up. Remember, we stood up back in first and second and third grade and fourth grade? Well, all of a sudden, we're standing up as poet laureates of the United States. There's only one, and you're that poet. And you have your poems because you grabbed words from the air, because you spelled them in English and pronounced them in Spanish, because you collected leaky pens and you began to like writing and typing, because you used words you never really used, and you threw them on a piece of paper and created a story, because you used your imagination, and because you enjoyed your classroom, because you took on the challenge and you took a step forward and you stood up in front of the audience and you did it. You accomplished it because you imagined and imagined and you made it all come true. And you didn't do it for yourself. You didn't do it for yourself. You didn't get those negative thoughts. You did it for everyone else because you had a positive, kind, loving heart. So there I am on that big old podium. It was a beautiful experience. Actually, that's why I'm here, because I was a poet laureate for 2 years, traveling. So here we are. There's a beautiful bird. It could be maybe a baby eagle or a hawk or a riding bird, and the big moon. We say buenas noches, good evening, good night, Luna, good night, moon. And then we look around and we look around and we look around and we say good night to everything. And then we remember, imagine what you could do. Imagine what you could do. It's your turn to imagine.
Did you ever imagine that you would write a book?
Thanks for your question. Did I ever imagine I would write a book? No, I never did. I never did. Let's see. When did that begin to happen? I think that began to happen when I went to the university, which was much later. I went to UCLA in 1967. That was a couple of years ago. And so I went to the university and I began, by that time, I was reciting a lot of poetry and with my friends who played jazz music. And, but I was so excited about writing and performing that eventually I started thinking about putting my poems together. And once you put your poems together, you automatically are creating a book, whether you do it on a laptop or by hand. Once you start putting things together, they become something else, which is interesting. Adobe bricks. One is made, it's just Adobe brick or a brick, but you put them together, they turn into a house. So I did that during those years, during my college years. I put my first book together. You can do it anytime you want. All it takes is whatever writing you have, maybe just words. You can create a book, a little book of words, maybe seven pages, 7 words, and that's a book. Sometimes we think too much, that it's too complicated, but a book can be what you want it to be. Stories, poems, or just words or drawings, or letters, a book of letters. So feel free to start at any point.
Hi, my name is Celso, and I'm wondering, is it hard to be an author?
Sasu, uh, is it hard to be an author? Geez, it's like dancing. At first, I used to go to dances in high school, but I never, it was just look too difficult to me. I would just sit there, I would just stand there leaning against the wall. Everybody was dancing, I was just leaning against the wall. It was hard at first because I just thought about it. But you just think about it like dancing, right? I was thinking too much. I could have just thrown myself on the floor and moved whatever way. And that's the same thing with writing sometimes. Being an author, you think that it's very difficult, so then you don't get into it. You don't take a step forward. But it isn't hard at all. It isn't hard at all. Author means that you're the creator of the work. You create the work. It's up to you. It's all up to you, by the way. That's another secret. Writing, it's up to you. You can write it any way you want to write it. You're the one who says start. You're the one who says stop. You're the one who says this far or this little or this or more or less. You decide all those things. It's all about you.
Hi, my name is Veronica, and my question is, where do you get your ideas for your book?
Well, good question, Veronica. I got another secret for you. I think it's going to be a secret for everyone that's listening right now. Okay? I think everyone right now, it'll be so incredible that you're going to have to hold on to something. Okay? Where do I get my ideas? It's going to be so incredible. You're going to have to hold on to the table. Okay? Be ready. And a glass of water. Ideas come flying at you. They come flying at you. And they hit you and shake you up. So you don't have to worry about having an idea. Okay, it's that kind of thing. They come flying at you. Go 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's how it works. That's how it works. It really does. Think about today or think about yesterday. Think about today. I bet you today you got an idea. And I bet you it wasn't up to you. I bet you just, it came from somewhere. And all of a sudden, it's yours. And it's up to you if you want to do something with that idea.
Well, thank you so much, Juan Felipe Herrera, for sharing your story with us, for sharing your book with us, for sharing your memories with us, for sharing your secrets with us, and for sharing your imagination with us. And I know all of us who are out here listening, no matter how old we are going to be inspired to imagine bigger things for ourselves because we got to hear from you. So thank you so much for being with us.